What's up, everybody? This is Robert from Scattermind Central. You're about to listen to Neish and I's podcast, To Raise a Child, Episode 4, Parent Phobias. In it, we discuss a couple of our fears as well as mental health. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us on Podbean, follow us on Twitter at To Raise a Child, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whenever you are listening to this. This is To Raise a Child. I'm Nisha.
I'm Robert.
And today we're going to be talking about phobias as a parent. Because we all have fears. We all have things rational or unrational. Unrational? Irrational. God. That we have.
You got my dumb mouth.
I don't think I'm awake yet still. I don't think I'm going to be fully awake today.
We live in a permanent state of sleep.
Yeah, today's going to be that day. You know, it's last day of the weekend. Can't remember. I know. Another week. But I think I'm going to kick the conversation off with the biggest fear that I know for a fact every single parent has. Every single one. And I just want to get this big one out of the way. The other ones are valid and big and important, but this is the biggest one because it's the scariest. And I want to get it out of the way. So if I cry, we can get...
Are you talking about lice?
The opposite. I am actually talking about death.
I said lice.
Oh, I thought you said life. And how dare you use that word? But no, I'm not talking about lice either. I'm talking about death. Not only for us dying and missing out on part of our children's lives.
But God forbid something happening to the children.
Yes, that's hands down. And I think it's safe to speak for every parent that you do not want your child to die.
You want to have them outlive you, not the other way around.
Very much so. And speaking from personal experience, no, I have never lost a child, but I know...
You've known people that have.
Yes. Who have lost children, and more than one person. You know, one lost a child when the child was 18. Another person lost the child.
In utero?
No, it wasn't in utero. It was...
Well, no, I mean, there's a third one.
Yes. So yes, you know, if you've had a miscarriage or if, you know, I know somebody.
Stillborn.
No, baby with a heart condition.
Oh.
Didn't make it...
Oh, okay. Okay.
You know, and I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to...
It's hard.
I
mean, we've never had to deal with it, so we can't identify with it on that level.
No, but it's
still terrifying.
And of course,
That
matter...
reminds me of the episode of Family Guy where Brian has the kid or whatever. It was early on. And he sees something, and he was like, oh my God. And they're just like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah. But that is the biggest fear of any parent. I think that is safe to say.
Well, I think it's a little bit more prevalent now because every other day you're hearing about school shooting or some kind of crazy shit going on where it's these innocent fucking kids. And granted, yeah, sometimes the kids are assholes, and
they don't deserve to die, though.
Exactly. They don't deserve that. Like, you want to fight them, beat the fuck out of them, okay, maybe they need their ass whipped. Something like that. Our kids don't, because our kids know better. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's always in the forefront of your mind, especially as a parent, because you hear this shit, it seems like a weekly basis.
Multiple times a week.
I mean, there was just that kid the other day that it sucks that he did it, but I appreciate it a lot more. He killed himself at school. You know,
it's still not a good.
It's not good whatsoever, but that's what we always talk about. Like, why don't you just fucking off yourself instead of taking 10 motherfuckers with you?
Yeah.
and that's a shitty way to look at it, but whenever it's happening on a weekly basis, multiple times a month type shit, it's like, I don't want anybody to commit suicide. I don't want anybody to not be here, whatever the situation may be. But if you're thinking about killing other motherfuckers, just take yourself out and be done with it.
Yeah.
Don't destroy other people's lives because of your mental problems.
Yes. And, on a small side note,
I mean, the people shouldn't be fucking with whoever it is, because usually it has to do with some sort of bullying or something like that. Yes, those children are assholes. Absolutely, 100%.
No one deserves to die, though.
And no, it's not necessarily that. I mean, I do agree with that, but the family doesn't deserve to go through that.
Yeah, because
even if their kid is an asshole, you don't deserve to do that.
Yeah.
Or go through that, rather.
Because a bully still has parents and family and
cousins, grandparents,
so
siblings.
No one needs to be an asshole, but no one needs to die.
Just because
if they talk asshole.
Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if me and my friends were dead for every time we talk shit, Jesus fucking Christ.
We'd be dead hundreds
I would have never had kids of my own.
But on a side note, everybody needs to be very aware of mental health, just as a whole.
Absolutely.
Because Robert and I are big advocates for mental health.
It's not talked about enough.
No, because there's a big stigma around it where
like, oh, would you shut the fuck up? They're gonna think you're crazy. Well, it's not crazy. It's like
feelings. They're feelings.
I'm bipolar. Well, I think I've got it under control now. I'm not as bipolar as I once was. I don't have that hard flip anymore. And it's not medication or anything like that. It's just years of processing it.
Coping mechanisms.
Not coping mechanisms, because that sounds like a negative connotation where you're using something else to take your attention away from it. And I'm not doing that. What I've done personally, and again, I don't know if it's going to work for everybody, is talk more. Because I'm a very loquacious person in general, but I don't talk about feelings. Well, I didn't talk about my feelings. And
yes.
The things that would upset me or whatever, I would just bury deep down. And it used to be I'd get drunk and then they'd all come out at once and I'd lash out at anybody that was around me.
Yes.
And
that was not the best approach.
It wasn't a good approach at all. I've destroyed a lot of relationships because of that. I almost destroyed ours on a couple of occasions because of that. The only person I can think of that I hadn't told to fuck off whenever I was drunk is Bubba. Because I even told Crystal to fuck off at one point, and then I realized it wasn't who I thought it was. And then I apologized to her. That was the night I was puking and she was babysitting.
I remember. Because she said that she didn't smoke.
Yeah. Like, I don't smoke. I was like, oh.
Wrong person.
Sorry. But fuck. Or whatever it was. But there is something that needs to be said about mental health, though.
Yes. Just small side note, mental health is a very important thing. And something that needs to be talked about
to somebody.
Yes.
Do
anybody.
Not hold it in. Do not push it deep down. That is all.
Yes. So mental health.
The more you know.
We need the star with the rainbow trail.
Shimmer sound.
Yes. But back to the big fear. Granted, never had a miscarriage. I've never lost a child. I got pregnant one time. I had one baby,
Batting 1,000 right now.
Yeah.
Actually, you'd be batting over 1,000 because you have 4 kids and only got pregnant the one time.
Woo. I'm magic like that. But, and of course that you can't live your life in that constant fear of waking up every morning and like, is today going to be the day? What's going to happen today? Obviously, that's not a way you want to live your life. That would be torturous. But that is something that is in the back of every parent's mind. Period. I don't care who you are. And if you say that you don't think about that,
you ain't doing it right.
You're not, because especially when your kids get old enough to go to school, not necessarily because there's a big school shooting epidemic thing that's going on, but just, if your kids have to walk to school.
You got to worry about fucking creeps snatching them or
You have
exposing themselves to them or what the fuck ever.
And that's, this is something that we deal with. We have to, our kids really don't go to friends' houses because we have trust issues because of our past.
Well, it's not really that too. They are the type, they're like us.
They want to be
They'd
home.
rather have people come
over.
over here than
100%.
Other.
But, but that's also why we haven't really pushed them on, why don't you go to sleepovers and why don't you do this? Because we have trust issues, and you have to worry about what's going to happen at somebody else's house. Or if they're, Chris is old enough where he went on his first date not too long ago.
Ugh.
What happens if, you go out in public? And me and you have had this conversation, you can't let it hinder your life and how you live your life.
You can't let it cripple you. And me and Rico were actually talking about this the other day. I think it was yesterday. Where you can't let your fear of something hinder you from new experiences or doing something different or stepping out of your comfort zone. Because for a lot of us, that fear is always in the back of our head, no matter what. And it's not just like death or shit like that, just negative shit in general. I'm going to scare this person away. I'm going to fuck up this relationship. I'm going to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, whatever the fucking situation is. And it's just, you can't live in that fear, especially with this, because if you're thinking about death 24/7, you're not going to live your life.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds very Buddhist of me, but
it's 100%
true.
Yeah.
It's like I've spent a lot of my younger years almost every single night obsessing over death. And not in the aspect that I was like super emo, like, oh, I want to die and all that dumb shit. It wasn't that.
It was scared.
It was scared. Like I remember having panic attacks thinking that like about my grandma dying and shit like that. And like I always contemplated mortality at a way younger age than I should have.
Yeah, I did as well. I would cry at night.
It's fucked up, and the death is one thing that we all fear because we never you don't know when it's going to happen.
No.
Nobody knows when their time's going to be.
You could walk across the street and get hit by a bus.
That's why I don't go outside.
We stay inside.
But the other thing is, it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's on the other side. You don't know if ghosts are really real, or even if you've had experiences, you can't chalk it up to that's definitely what it was.
And not just a surge of chemicals in your brain that made you hallucinate in your last moments.
Or a lack of sleep, or whatever the fucking situation may be. You don't know. And whenever people end up brain dead and they say, well, I saw God, how do you know that that was God? How do you know that that wasn't your mind trying to comfort you before you were going to die?
Yeah.
And I'm not taking anything away from that. And people have had these experiences that change their lives, and that's all well and good, as long as it changed them for the better.
Yes.
But I don't know what that is. And I think I have a pretty good beat on everything. Like, I understand things on this weird fucking level.
But that one thing,
well, it's not
death,
just that
what
one
happens
thing,
after
but
death.
There's no definitive answer. And there can be no definitive answer because nobody goes and then comes back like that.
Yes.
They have near-death experiences and shit like that, but it's exactly that. It's a near-death experience.
It's not a death experience.
It's not a death experience. You're not dead for a week or two and then come back. That's not how it works. You're dead for, I think, the biggest case was like maybe 2 hours or something like that. Like clinically dead.
Something like that.
Their brain was still active.
Yeah, you can still come back.
And they came back from something like that. But that, again, is a near-death experience. It's not a death experience.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that that's always been the greatest mystery and also the most terrifying thing to think about. Like, it's fascinating to me, but it's fascinating in a morbid way and in a, nobody really knows.
Yeah. It's just the unknown. And when you're a parent, that is exponentially higher because, we have 4 children, so we worry about it that much more because it's not just one child we worry about, it's 4.
And then you factor in all the friends that we wouldn't want to lose and, family and all that other shit. And it makes it even worse.
Yes. But hands down, every parent, period, every parent worries about that, especially especially, I mean, it never goes away, obviously, but especially when they're babies. Like, one of my biggest fears when Logan
Was that
was,
SID shit?
well, yeah, was SIDS. Like, you can put your baby down for a nap, and
then
that's
they
it.
just not wake up.
That's it. And there's no rhyme or reason. There's no... there's nothing. You get nothing. There's no explanation.
It's just, oh yeah, that happens sometimes.
And then, we researched it, and then we found out that it could randomly happen up until they were, 7 or 8?
Something like that.
And it's like...
That's terrifying. It is fucking terrifying. And that's why I think we still check on them every night. And I know a lot of people say, well, that's rookie, blah, 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 blah.
No, we make sure that our kids are breathing before we go to sleep.
Well, it's not just that. I make sure they're asleep so I can go to sleep too. But it is, like, I do check. They're breathing, they're sleeping, they're fine. And then it puts me at ease so I can take my ass to bed. Or you, depending on which one of us is the one to get up and check on them.
And along with that, the lesser part of that is, if they get sick, like we have Kaylee, who's a type 1 diabetic. And that was a very scary experience. And that's one of the lesser, quote unquote. Yeah. That's one of the...
It's still something to deal with.
It's still something to deal with.
It could have been a lot worse, put it that way.
It's not a cancer diagnosis or something like that. She can live with her diabetes. Yeah. And we have had to make changes and, make sure that things are more scheduled and stuff like that. And we can, it's more manageable. But when she was initially diagnosed, you see your child every day. We didn't realize that she had lost, the amount of weight that she had. We noticed changes, her falling asleep and, and it was towards the end of the school year, so obviously it wasn't affecting her school work or anything like that, but, there was changes, and then once you realize, oh, shit, there's something actually wrong.
And it could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah, she could have went into a diabetic coma because she was in such, like, her blood sugar was so high that she could have went into...
ketosis.
Yeah, a diabetic ketoacidosis. And she had to stay in the hospital for 3 days or 2 nights or something like that.
She did feel really special that entire time.
I mean, yeah, she was okay.
She felt like a princess.
Yeah, everybody was catering to her and, the nurses.
All the nurses loved her.
Yes, but that's still a very scary thing. And illness, granted, it's not a death sentence. No. But when it comes to illnesses... But
it's something she has to deal with for
the rest of her life.
That's not going to go away.
It's not like a type 2 diabetic where if you change your
eating patterns and all that stuff, it can go away. You still have it in the back of your mind because it can come back, but it's not the same thing as growing up with it and having to have it your entire life.
Yes. When you're a type 2 diabetic, your pancreas didn't just fucking take off. They're like, no, I quit.
I'm going to go on break now, and then they get fired on break.
Yes. It's...
Think of how you get fired on your day off.
Quit. It just quit. And it's just... It's a big change, and it's something difficult that we have to deal with as a family. But...
Because it has changed everybody. It didn't just change her. I mean, it's made... Chris more cognizant of it. It's made Noe a little bit more cognizant of it. And our eating patterns have changed a little bit because they do get measured out the same way just because it makes it fair and even for everybody. Yeah. But, I mean, it's just one of those things that we had to deal with.
I mean, we didn't get lucky that she got diabetes, but it could have been...
It could have been something else.
A lot worse.
It could have been something that is not treatable.
Yeah.
And there are people that have to worry about shit like that. And that, again, terrifies me.
Yeah, because serious illnesses, can come at any time. Mm-hmm. It's not just, oh, well, once they hit the age of 10, they're golden. No, you can still get, I mean, hell, you've seen me. If they get a fever for too long, I'm freaking out. Yeah. Because I always think that, well, what happens?
Their body's fighting off an infection. That's what it's doing. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, but you know me, I still get paranoid of them just getting a regular, like, fever and a cold.
That's just the mama bear coming out. It's just like everything is and that's why it's good to have somebody as calm and level-headed as I am, although it's also a pain in the ass, I'm sure, because you probably feel at times that I don't react with a certain sense of urgency. Like, what was it, last weekend? Whenever the fucking Logan pulled the dresser on himself because he was climbing on the motherfucker.
It was just his legs for anyone who's...
Yeah, he wasn't hurt or anything. He got bruises on his legs, but that was it.
That was it. It's a small...
I didn't jump up because it was just one of those things. Well, one, I'm the furthest person away from it, so I can't fucking do anything. Two, I'm going to get in your way if I try to get in front of you, and you're going to fucking hit me and move me out of the way regardless. And three, somebody needs to stay calm because I know that you're going to freak out in that situation.
And I did.
And it's exactly what you did. I had to tell you to physically pull him away from you and say, let him go. I need to check him out. So you would let go. You know?
This is all true.
And that's not a bad thing for you. It's not a bad thing for me. It's just one of those things where we kind of counterbalance each other in that situation. Like, if you panic, I have to be calm. If I panic, you have to be calm because there has to be that balance. Because if we're both freaking the fuck out,
nothing's going to get accomplished.
And it's just it could make the situation worse. And that's
worse.
why I liked Ralphie's stand-up. It's like, I'm telling you to do something. You hear the urgency in my voice. Do it.
Yes.
Don't ask questions. It's like, this is what needs to get done right now. And we have both done that to each other. It's just like, no, pay attention. Okay, stop freaking the fuck out.
Calm down.
Listen.
Yes.
And then you get whatever you need to get done. Yeah.
And, along with, the illnesses or, injuries and, luckily, the injuries in this house haven't been too severe.
They've been to a minimum, thankfully.
Yes. I'm knocking on everything. Just... Maybe I shouldn't have done that last one. That was
pretty dumb.
Kind of loud in my ears. But, it's all very scary. You don't want them to break a bone. You don't want them to...
Put their elbow through a fucking window.
Pull a dresser on themselves. But
I'm glad Chris isn't as accident prone as he once was. Because every time he fell, he would hit his fucking face. Every single time. And he's also the one that put his elbow through a goddamn window.
And Logan likes to bruise his legs. He hits his legs a lot.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
The poor baby's legs. They're riddled with bruises and... But, luckily...
They're also boys.
Yes, this is
true. And they're rough and tumble and they like throwing each other around, throwing themselves around like...
Yeah, because the girls...
Idiots.
I mean, outside of Kaylee's diabetes, they haven't really injured themselves.
Thankfully.
Yes. But that's also something we have to concern ourselves with. Is like, okay, but we can't be those helicopter parents where it's like, oh no, don't
but
do that.
I'm sure there's people that look at us like that, though.
Probably.
Because we are very involved on a constant basis. It's just like, no, we're not doing that. Why? Because I don't want to, basically. Because we're worried about shit. And I know that's not great, but, I mean, I would rather be the cautious, not overly cautious, but just the cautious parent as opposed to... I'd rather err on the side of caution, put it that way.
Yeah, because we're not, putting our kids in,
It's
bubbles.
not fucking Bubble Boy or anything like that.
Or that kid off of South Park who had the life jacket.
Oh, the one that ended up taking the life jacket off and drowning?
Yes.
That was such a goddamn funny episode.
But
see, I was right to be afraid.
Oh, that musical one. It was the musical one.
It was the musical.
Okay,
and it was, I think he went with Shelley, Stan's sister. And then it ended up flooding and drowning him.
But that's just... It's...
If that's not a perfect example of what parents are afraid of. No, he's going to drown. No, he's not. How the fuck is he going to drown? He's going to a play. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, your son drowned. Motherfucker!
Yeah, pretty much. Every horrible scenario has run through our heads at least one time.
Yep.
Period. of anything. You know, it's, especially with our minds, we're so neurotic and anxious and just, ugh, that one thing will lead to another. Like, we'll see...
Like, oh, he scraped his leg, and then it's like...
It's going to get infected, and he's going to get gangrene, and then we're going to have to amputate.
Amputation, and then, oh, well, the gangrene's not going to get caught, and it's going to kill him.
It's going to spread, and it's going to get into his blood system, and, you know... Logan had some weird bug bites, and there's no bugs in their room, and he hasn't been playing outside, so it's like, where did those come from? What kind of bugs were they? What's going to happen? Is he allergic? You know, obviously he's not allergic. He's still fine. Like, that's...
It's just one of those things where it turns into the worst case scenario possible.
And it just snowballs, and it's horrible.
But then I think that kind of goes into something else we've talked about, is like failing them as parents. You know, in the situation with Kaylee, you know, we didn't
notice right away.
We didn't know. We thought it was like, okay, she's at that age where she's going to be stretching, she's going to be growing, and we didn't think about it. We see her every single day, so we don't notice it as much.
I mean, looking back at pictures, like, oh yeah, she lost weight.
It's painfully obvious, but in the moment, we didn't see it, and we both felt like shit about it after the fact.
Horribly.
You know, and the same thing with Logan. You know, it's just... We feel like, well, what if it's something serious? It's not. Obviously, it's not. Yeah. But there's always that nagging thing in the back of your mind where you're like, fuck, am I screwing them up? Am I going to be the reason something bad happens to them?
Yeah.
You know, and that, to me, is almost more terrifying than...
what actually happens.
Yeah. It's just like, because you're constantly worried about it and constantly thinking about it. Like, fuck, I'm gonna fuck them up. I'm going to break them, you know? And as a parent, outside of the death thing, I don't know what's more terrifying than that.
You being the reason.
The reason that they're fucked up.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm not blaming our parents for the way we are, necessarily. It didn't help by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But it's one of those things where, like, I know... what it's like to have, okay, in my situation, I know what it's like to have mommy issues. You know, to always look for acceptance and blah, 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 whatever the fuck. And then I look at our kids and like, well, they don't have that. They don't have that now. But is there something that is going to happen at some point to create that?
Yeah.
Am I going to push them away to where they're like, oh, well, I can't talk to dad, so I got to pine for mom or something. I like just dumb shit like that. I don't know what's going to happen.
And then there's a whole other cocktail of emotions to being a step-parent.
I absolutely believe that.
You know, and I'm not going to get like too much into that and whatever, but it's even more because biologically children are not yours. Now, what's going to happen down the line if something happens and they realize that, oh, wait, you're not really my parent. I mean...
But see, it usually goes the opposite direction. It's not, oh, you're not my parent. It probably will be said at some point. I will give you that. But overall, they're going to have that later realization where it's just like, that motherfucker took care of me and they didn't have to. You know, because that's the realization I had with my grandparents. It's like, I didn't appreciate it. And I said heinous fucking things to grandma whenever I was younger. Which makes me feel even worse because she is the sweetest, nicest person I have ever met in my entire life. And if anybody was truly Christ-like,
it's that woman.
Even you, who is an atheist, would say that it's grandma.
Oh, yes.
You know, because she actually cares about everybody. She tries to be there for everybody and make everybody laugh. That's where I got it from, and it probably annoys the piss out of everybody. But I realized as I got older that she was taking care of me. She dropped literally everything to make sure that I was taken care of.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. You know, and the appreciation comes later. You just got to deal with all the bullshit to get there. And I know for you and I have had that conversation many times where you're just like, they're going to fucking hate me at some point. That may be true. I hope it doesn't happen. And I think that we collectively, the four of us, have raised them better than that.
I hope so.
Because they still know not to talk back like some of the kids in their grade do. Like, fuck you, Mom. I wanted the whatever Jordans, not these Jordans type shit. Like, our kids aren't like that. Our kids aren't materialistic. You know, like, yes, they want shit. They're kids. They get excited about Christmas because they get fucking presents. That's the way children
children.
are. But they should be. They should
Yes.
look forward to shit like that because it is a treat. It is something special to them.
Yes.
But they also have the inverse of that, where it comes to Christmas time and they're like, "Oh, are we going to donate toys this year? Are we going to donate clothes?" Da 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 da.
Yes.
They think about shit like that,
And that's,
and that's why I feel like we're not fucking them up, because it's like it's that vindication. It's like, okay, we're doing something right. That's the response they're supposed to have.
yes. And, with how they've been doing academically,
Oh God, I'm so proud.
we have Chris, who was inducted into the National Junior Honor Society. Kaylee is.
These are the humble brags, by the way.
Yeah, totally. Humble.
We are proud parents.
We are very proud parents, and we had Kaylee, who got accepted into a gifted and talented program. Noe reads 2 grades higher than herself. Logan is
He's in pre-K, but he is moving along so fast.
exponentially,
And that's even what the teacher
extremely
said.
fast.
Got to work on his writing, though.
Yeah, we have to work on his writing, but he just turned 5. It's not like he's fucking
8.
Shakespeare right now.
Shakespeare. You couldn't have come more contemporary with that.
No. Okay, Stephen King. Joe Hill. Same family. There. Happy?
Yes.
But so that kind of makes you feel like you're not failing them. But at the same time, like later on, you don't know emotionally, and I don't think there are any signs of like being a sociopath, because that's a fear of mine.
Every kid experiences or exhibits certain signs of that occasionally. Because Chris and Kaylee are very antisocial at times. Kaylee especially. She likes to be by herself and do her own fucking thing, but that's because she's Miss Independent.
Yes.
But that could be construed as antisocial behavior.
For more of the sociopath side of it.
Well, it depends. Because, the antisocial behavior could go sociopath or psychopath, depending on...
Because that's always been a fear of mine. Like, even before I had children, it was just like, what if I raise a fucking serial killer? What, because you always...
Well, see, that would be more... Well, the murdering can be either or, but the sociopath is more antisocial with the lack of a conscience. Those are the people you would look at and be like, there's something fucking wrong with that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't feel bad.
Whereas,
they don't cry.
Well, no, that's not necessarily true. They can do that. But it's like psychopath is, to me, the worst of the two. Because they lack empathy. But they know how to feign it. And that's the scarier one. Because there was a time where it seemed like that's kind of how Kaylee was going. But I think it was just that she didn't fully understand it at the age she was. Because this was a couple of years ago.
Like, she didn't realize what she had done. Like,
yeah,
she didn't understand
that kind
the
of
gravity
thing,
of it.
To where, like, now it probably wouldn't be the same reaction.
Because
but that was the first thought that went through my head. It's like, fuck, she's going to be a psychopath.
Yeah, but, like, now she just wants to love on everyone.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like...
absolutely. She's the sweetest, most loving person now.
Maybe.
But
like,
it seemed at a time
more
that she
smothering.
Was, yeah. She was mimicking the emotions. And me, personally, I went through that same fucking thing. Like, I thought that I was fucked because I didn't know if I was having emotional reactions to things or if I knew I was supposed to be having emotional reactions to things. And that's why I was acting the way that I was. And that was not as a kid. That was as an adult that I was not sure. Yeah. And it just, that's
But that
really
also goes
terrifying.
To our mental stuff. Like, our mental...
That goes back to the mental shit.
Yeah. Again, mental health is important. It should be able to be talked about. Period. End of story. Anyway. But yeah, that's like... And that could be a totally irrational fear. Like... Yeah, there's not a lot of serial killers around. I mean, people murder. Yes,
actually, there probably is. You've probably walked past
they're
at
just
least
not caught.
2 serial killers in your life that you never realized.
That oogs me out.
I saw that on some fucking random. It was one of those random factoid criminal things.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh, that's fucking terrifying.
Motherfucker.
What's even worse is if
thank you for not choosing me.
They walked past you and they were like, No.
Nah.
Like,
I'm totally okay.
I don't know if that makes me better or worse of a person, but I'll take it. Either way I could get it.
I do not care why you did not pick me. Thank you for not picking me.
I didn't want to die today.
But, that's extremely, like, that's a legit fear I have. It's like, what if I end up on the news one day and...
But she seems so normal.
Yes.
He seems so normal. He was just a regular kid.
I would have never thought that they would be capable of such heinous acts.
If you think your kid's not capable of that, you don't pay the fuck attention because they exhibit signs.
Like,
If Chris was to end up on the news and they said he assaulted one of his fucking schoolmates, I'm not going to go the murder route. It would not surprise me.
No.
Like, in the slightest bit.
No.
Not because he's a violent person or
No.
because he's a shitty kid or anything like that.
But
it's just because he's a fucking teenager, and the fact that it hasn't happened yet is fucking amazing. Because I hear the way that his friends talk to him. And he's talked about it to us and stuff like that. And I don't understand how he hasn't just bitch slapped somebody.
The funny thing is that I see Kaylee assaulting somebody before any of the other kids.
No, she'd be one of those ones to be really calculated about it. She'd get him back, but it'd be like really just where you have to reevaluate your life kind of thing. Just like, oh, god damn, baby, really? Why'd you have to do that?
Okay, Logan has gotten in trouble for hitting.
Well, Chris, whenever he was little, he got in trouble. He fucking stabbed Maddie in the hand with a pencil.
Didn't he get in trouble?
He also
for that
cracked
at
some
school?
kid in the head with a fucking rock whenever he was in kindergarten. I think it was kindergarten. Something like that. Mandy will correct me.
Yeah.
But he had anger issues at one point, and I think that stems from other shit. Whenever it wasn't exactly a positive environment, me and Mandy were constantly nipping at each other and shit like that. I think that had something to do with it.
Maybe, probably.
Because it was just that negative energy, and the kids vibe on that, and they think that that's how you're supposed to communicate with people, and blah, 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 whatever the fuck. He's not like that anymore. None of them are like that anymore.
The whole nature versus nurture thing.
Basically. Like, you're around chaos and violence, and that's what you beget. And I think that's probably a microcosm of the problem in society today. But that's neither here nor there.
That's a whole other
That's a
therapy
whole
session.
nother fucking can of biscuits. But
I want biscuits. Anyway. Sorry.
I forgot what my point was now, because you said biscuits, and I started thinking about biscuits.
But yeah, it's just a scary thought of you fucking up your kids that bad that something clicks. And not saying that, there's a bunch of statistics that go into people who are sociopaths and psychopaths and become serial killers, and there's a whole other slew of
There's a bunch of different factors and things that go into it.
and
a lot of times it's medication too, which
Yeah.
terrifies me about medication.
or lack of medication.
Most of the times that it's those school shootings and shit like that, they're usually chemically imbalanced and they're on something.
Okay, fair.
And like the fucking Colorado movie shooter, the Joker fuck.
Whatever he was.
I can't remember.
The piece
you know
of
which
shit.
one I'm talking about, the redhead with the crazy
Yes.
fucking face. He was on meds. And it's just...
See,
those
but-
meds are supposed to be helping, and they're not. And that is why I personally refuse to take any kind of pharmaceutical medication.
Okay, again,
I'm not saying that
Mental
it can't
health.
help people. I'm
Yes.
saying for me personally, I'm not doing it because I feel that as a person, you should be able to, one, have a support system that you can talk to. Two, you need to be able to process all the shit yourself and be able to get past all of it. Well, not past all of it, but be able to be a productive member of society and not constantly be a drag or be just negative all the time. You should be able to be functional and happy, even though you got all this shit going on in the back of your head. Because my brain is typically firing twice as fast as everybody else's. I feel like the Flash in a world full of slow-ass fucking people.
me and you kind of
We're the same in that aspect.
agree and disagree on that, just because I think that some people, medication
Some people
is...
probably do. I'm just saying, personally, I think that everybody has the ability to do it themselves. And I think...
It just takes a lot of work.
it goes with the Christianity thing. I'm not Christian. I would probably consider myself agnostic. I believe that there might be something, blah, blah, whatever the fuck. That's neither here nor there at this particular moment. But my biggest problem with Christianity is it takes accountability away. Like you ask for intercession for everything. If you're struggling with an addiction, you pray to God, and as a Catholic, you ask for intercession from the saints and angels. Instead of taking that personal accountability and saying, you know what, I need to stop fucking doing this. I need to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
It's just like you're waiting for a sign from the heavens, and it's essentially, to me, the same thing with mental health. You're not doing the work. You're doing you're putting a Band-Aid on the bigger problem,
yes.
I think.
Okay, and
to where you're not trying to fix your brain, you're just trying to shut it off, essentially.
Yes. And when we say that you should be able to do it yourself, we are not talking about overnight. Just, get over it.
No, it is not an overnight process.
It is
You've been with me for how long now? 7 years. It's coming up on 7 years.
Yes.
It's just, you have seen how I've progressed.
Yes, but it has taken years.
But with that, there's also moments of regression.
Yes.
And I think the big help was me quitting drinking. I'm already chemically imbalanced. I don't need to be adding chemicals into this fucking Molotov cocktail.
So I don't want anybody to take offense and be like, well, I take medication. If you want to take medication, that is all on you. Each person's personal journey is their own personal journey.
It's just like with working out, okay? If you want to lose weight and feel better about yourself, you have to work out. But you can't just work out. You also have to learn how to eat better.
Yes.
You got to get correct sleeping habits. It's an ABC thing. It's not just one thing that's going to fix everything. That's how I feel about medication. If you are going to take medication, that's fine.
There's other steps,
but you should also try to strengthen your mind at the same time, to where at some point you're not going to need that medication.
And that's what a lot of people. I know we've strayed away from phobias,
but that it's part and parcel though, because we're worried about the kids ending up like that.
Yes.
We're worried about their mental state on a constant basis.
Because what you're supposed to do with medication is you are supposed to take the medication and continue to seek help. Mm-hmm. You are supposed to take your medication as prescribed and go to therapy, have a support system, regularly do all that shit, so to kind of rein it back in, again, big, bold, capital letters. Mental health is important. Talk about it with your kids. Talk about it with everyone. I am a huge, huge advocate for mental health, and so is Robert. So
we're not pitchers of mental health, but
yeah,
we're not the shining example.
But that also helps with your children. If your children know that no matter what they do, how bad they think it is, that they have you to talk to that can help them through their mental issues and not make them lash out and become these people.
Or feel completely inadequate and like they're fucking broken, like we felt for so much of our lives.
Yes.
Because I still feel fucking broken. I'm
100%.
Getting better. I know I'm getting better.
100%.
But I still feel like I'm incomplete because I don't feel like... I don't feel like I should be a parent in general.
Me neither.
Like, who the fuck thought this was a bright idea?
Who let us be adults?
Like, I need a more adultier adult.
Yes.
I feel like that 100%. All the time.
Uh-huh. Okay. To kind of... For a little bit of levity... outside of germs...
Are you going to talk about the
L word?
The biggest fear you have?
This is one of the... Hands down, outside of death and them getting sick, this is hands down the biggest fear I have for
lesbians?
It's the L word, and I am not talking about love. I am not talking about lesbians, and I'm not talking about lasagna. I'm talking about lice.
What are you, fucking Garfield?
Yes. But I love lasagna. Lasagna is so good. But I am talking about lice.
And I hate Mondays.
Lice is the bane of my existence. I think about it.
And you start itching.
Me saying the word lice makes my head itch. And I am sorry if I am making anyone else's head itch, but this is
my eyebrow itch for some reason.
Huge fear of mine. As soon, we'll get, the schools will send, if there's a case of lice going around in a certain grade or whatever, they'll send home a letter. This is to notify you that there has been a case of lice in your child's class or your child's grade, and, be on the lookout and blah, 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 blah. That makes my stomach flip. I want to shit and vomit at the same time, because I know with 4 children,
it is super hard to get rid of.
Because not only like with the boys, fucking, shave their head, cut their hair, wash everything.
You can do that with the girls too.
No, I don't shave their head.
I'm saying you could. I'm not saying we have.
Hands down. If it was socially acceptable, or if it wouldn't murder my girls' insides and their little hearts to shave their heads and walk around bald, you bet your ass.
They would look adorable bald, though.
100%. But if I had it my way, fucking shave it. We'll give you a fucking crew cut, buzz that shit, get rid of everything. I hate that. I'm not religious at all. But if the whole Noah's Ark thing, no one could have killed the fucking lice. No one. Could have just smushed those motherfuckers right there. Got rid of those. Put some nicks on that shit. Nothing. And we still have to deal with this shit. It is 2018. Fucking eradicate that bullshit. Like, they're making fucking manufactured human flesh for consumption, but we can't get rid of fucking head bugs. I don't even like to say the word. Like, it's the L word. Like, it is a bad word. I will say fuck in front of my kids occasionally if it's bad enough and I'm in a pissed off mood. Cunt will fly out of my mouth. Yeah, I say cunt.
Cunt will fly out of your mouth.
I will cuss in front of my kids. The L word, not allowed to be said.
That you get so mad whenever anybody else says it either, because Gabriel will get you occasionally on purpose, and you're just like, you motherfucker!
It's like that, because it's so tedious and it's so much. That outside of the big major scares of being a parent.
I love how you get so impassioned about this compared to everything else we've talked about.
Because while they can get sick and death can happen, statistically,
lice happens.
Lice happens. Okay. Just on a standpoint of this household. This household in the past, since Logan's been, in the past 5 years, lice has happened more than illness and death. And I want to keep it that way. I would
absolutely,
hands down, I would rather them get lice than anything bad. Obviously, I'm not a horrible piece of shit person, but if we could do without death, out sickness, and out without lice, yes. And it's just I'm constantly. And you can ask Robert if you have his personal contact information, or on Twitter with our handle. You could tweet, does she really do this bullshit? Yes, I will occasionally ask the girls, especially the girls because they have the long hair.
It's harder to get rid of out of them.
Your head been itching lately? You doing okay?
Especially Noe, because she's the younger one.
And she does not say shit. But yes, that is a humongo fear of mine. It makes my skin crawl, makes my head itch just hearing the fucking word, and ugh. Anyway, but now that I have everyone's head itching, you're welcome. It is okay to have phobias, and it is okay to have these fears as a parent, 100%, because you're supposed to. That's what's going to happen.
Just like we've said in many other episodes, talk to somebody, say something about it.
Okay, for the last time of this episode, mental health is important. Talk to anyone you can. And if you can't, guess what? Get on social media and be like, hey, I need someone to talk to.
You'd be surprised how many people will actually reach out if you do something
100%. Like you think you don't have friends? Get on social media, get on Twitter, get on
But then again, you also have to worry about the assholes. Be like, oh, no, fuck you should kill yourself.
Fuck them. They're pieces of shit. Anyway. But it is okay, and you are not alone in having the irrational fears. I mean, death is a very serious thing, but from the fear...
For the most part, it is an irrational fear to have on a daily basis.
Yes. From death to the L word, because I'm not fucking saying it again. Any fear that you have is okay to have, and you are not alone in having those fears and phobias and just all around just feeling about something, that is 100% okay to have. And you are not alone, period, at all. So, if you are still listening to this, thank you. Appreciate you. Follow us on Twitter at To Raise a Child, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube.
Wherever you get your podcast from.
Wherever you listen to us. And please, for the love of everything that is not the L word.
Because fuck those motherfuckers.
Fuck those motherfuckers. Like, subscribe, share. We want to help as many people as we can. So put us out there. Again, thank you guys for listening, and don't get the L word.